Hello and welcome to episode number 3 of the Fitness Pollenator podcast. I'm your host, Travis Pollen, and I'm joined today by my friend and esteemed colleague, Karl Safran. Karl is the owner and operator of No Bull Training in Huntingdon Valley, Pennsylvania. Karl, thanks for joining me.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Travis.
The topic of today's episode is functional training as practiced by Karl and his crew over at No Bull. So, most general population clients just want to look better naked. What is functional training, Karl, and how does it help people achieve their goals?
Well, you're definitely right about that. I mean, that's the number one thing people tell me is they just want to look good naked, lose body fat, gain muscle, bone density. Functional is a funny thing, though. I mean, it's relative to what you need or what you want. If I have an athlete, he tells me he needs to get more explosive, more powerful. We should train him functionally that way. If someone wants to lose body fat, I mean, we're going to look at the diet first. And obviously, train them more, big bang exercises, get them stronger. The more muscle we put on them, the less fat they'll have. So functional is a funny term. I mean, because it varies so great from person to person. But I guess, opposed to bodybuilding and CrossFit and stuff like that, functional training, I just think most people need the same stuff. I mean, realistically, most people are doing what we're doing right now. We sit at a desk. Thankfully, we don't have that kind of job. But, they get rotated, internal rotation, protraction, all that bad stuff, tight hip flexors, weak glutes. So almost everybody needs the same stuff in the beginning. And then how we progress them obviously would change.
So, do you train your men and women very differently?
I wouldn't say very differently, but to be honest, of course, there's slight variations. I mean, my men want to bench press and want to do chin-ups, and my girls want to do deadlifts and squats. Of course, I make them do everything, but there's days absolutely where the guys, no matter what their goal, I'll give them a little fun hypertrophy stuff because that's what they want.
How about your older clients versus your younger clients?
Big difference. Variation and obviously the tempo of the sets, the intensity, the rest, how much volume, how many times per week. The exercises don't vary that greatly, but obviously the intensities would.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned, a lot of the people that you deal with are sitting hunched over at a desk all day like this. So they're coming into you with a lot of movement dysfunction. They can't squat, they can't hip hinge. But when you're in a small group setting, like what you usually do, how do you assess your clients? Because you're not going to do a full movement screen when there's you and 7 people in the room.
Correct. Well, one, I try to offset the times they come in. So if I can get people coming in every 15, 20, 30 minutes, it works better. Basically, people walk in, they use the bathroom, put their stuff away. Immediately, I have them golf ball on their feet just to release the fascia, loosen them up. It feels good. Some studies actually suggest that it could prevent or help plantar fasciitis, among many things, knee pain, other things like that.
It's so simple.
Good.
But the golf ball is so simple, but so few people know about it.
That's true, actually. You know what? Honestly, I have a lot of clients that come from other trainers, whether they just didn't like them or they just wanted something new. They never heard of it. They think I'm playing with them when I give them a golf ball. They think I'm joking. I ask them to take their shoes off. I even roll their palms, but they love it. They buy into it, thankfully, because it works. And then I teach all new clients mini band work. Real simple, just movement stuff. Adduction, speed skaters, whatever you call them. A little bit of hip flexion, nice, slow, controlled, and different things, clamshells, just stuff to kind of wake up muscles that aren't on per se. Everyone gets that, whether they're a pro athlete. I'm training a guy now from Spain, a pro basketball player. He's never seen any of this, and he's at a pro level. He's never seen any of this stuff, and it's so basic, but it helps him just as much as it will help my grandmother that's 70.
Mm-hmm.
After that, I used to do functional movement screen with everyone when I was not as packed as I am now. So it's kind of a problem. I can't, movement screen everybody, but I do it in my own way. I've been doing this for about 8 years now. I train hundreds of people a week between my group classes and personal training. So when someone walks in, first thing I'm looking at is how they walk, their gait. If they're externally rotated, are they rounded? Is their head poking, their chin poking? And I know for a fact that most of them have the same issues. They're going to have tight hip flexors. They're going to have some type of knee pain if they're heavy. They're going to have weak rhomboids and mid-traps. They're going to have tight pecs. So automatically, I'm kind of doing the same stuff with everybody initially. Then if some people don't need certain things, we move on. If some people need more of a certain thing, we move on. That's when we'll move to the foam roller, get them loose, a little dynamic movement, and then we just go through basic movements with them in the beginning, the first couple weeks.
And so that warm up that you talked about with the foam rolling and the band, so is that pretty much what they do? Because your facility doesn't have a whole lot of cardio equipment or.
Oh yeah, you know what? Once in a while, I'll throw them on a treadmill hill and just have them walk. It's a little boring, and to be honest, you know as well as I do, that's not a proper warm up.
Mhm.
We want to get those muscles ready to fire up. So basically, they come in, they golf ball, they do some mini band work, they foam roll, they do some dynamic movement. Sometimes some people like jump rope, whatever they like. I just get them sweaty, get them moving, and then we start. And really, the assessment is the workout to me. I mean, it's one thing, whether I'm putting someone in a bird dog position or scapular mobility things, box squats, with a light goblet position with a kettlebell. Everyone's going to get those same positions. If they're not heavy, I'll put them in an asymmetrical split squat stance. It would just vary. I mean, like I said, I just take the person as they come in, and I kind of just know what to do. And once I see them move, I really know what to do.
And that's kind of your framework, right? Like, so you have a lot of different types of people coming in, and over the course of an hour or so, you might have your pro athlete here and your older woman here, but they're doing the same basic workout, and then you're just customizing it for where they're at.
Absolutely. I mean, if I get my grandmom and my pro athlete, obviously I'm going to separate them. Grandmom's doing all the warm up just like the pro athlete, pretty much. Slight variations, and then grandmom's going to basically bilateral glute bridge, some type of bird dog, some type of TRX inverted row. I'm going to work on their posterior chains. And the athlete might do something very similar, but he might get a barbell load of 300 pounds. He's going to do TRX, but he's going to be fully inverted. He's going to have a weight vest on, depending, what kind of athlete he is. But I'm big on the posterior chain work too, especially for average people. Because like we just talked about, the seated position is deadly to humans. We're not even supposed to sit. We're supposed to squat. So the chairs, the seats, the toilets, the beds, everything that's ruining our bodies, our movements. So I'm big on, get the glutes strong, get the hamstring strong, get the lower back strong, get the rhomboids, the lats. Everything you can't see in the mirror is what I kind of try to dominate on people.
Mm-hmm. And then, so that's the small group. You'll have, maybe a 1 to 5 trainer to client ratio. How about in the bigger classes? How do you...
Bigger classes, usually a lot of times I'll have a trainer on with me. If I don't, I'm fine in here. I usually, like just today, about a half hour ago, we had, I think, 38 people.
Mm-hmm.
But what I do to control that is one group class, I call them, or boot camps, whatever people call them. Right away, I'm not picking high risk exercises, high risk. And I determine that just from years of experience. We're not barbell deadlifting in a big group setting because it's risky. And if you do, you can't have any real intensity on the bar. So I just pick certain exercises that I know are lower risk. And they're in groups of 4. So right away, you go from 36 people to, condensed groups. And I treat them as such. So, a perfect example, we had a chin-up and a TRX station. They'll do it for about a minute, just good quality reps, and then they switch. Some people can't do the chin up, so I just have them band pull, like a lat pull down. So there's slight modifications that I demonstrate before the class starts, so people kind of know what to do and what not to do. And I'm walking around the entire hour, poking them, coaching them.
How did you come up with that concept, the 4 people per station? I've seen it. It works really well. Is that just
Absolutely.
something?
That's a good question. I think just by the masses of people I was having coming, because in the beginning, obviously, you used to be here. We used to have a smaller crew, the first 5 years of my business, as I was building. So when it first started, I would just do 1 person per station, maybe 10 stations, run them through it, have a little fun with them, get them strong. Then it started becoming bigger, so I used to do groups of 2. Then it gets pretty big where I do groups of 4. And it's just easier to control. And to be honest, the best thing about it is it gives you that positive push. If I'm next to you and you're smoking push-ups, I'm not going to stop, within reason. If my form's bad, I'm going to stop. But I'm big on, I lay on the conservative end of training. I want people to be careful. My rule of thumb is do no harm first. But it's a good push that everybody needs. Because honestly, you ask any client, they've all been either pushed or tugged on to get into training. And then even when they're here, everyone just wants to be told what to do. They want direction. So the group, minus me, barking at them in a positive way, their own group makes them move more efficiently and a little better, a little harder.
Absolutely. I've experienced that for sure. Just
Shoot that.
when three other people are around you going hard, you're not going to stop unless, like you said,
Absolutely.
you're falling apart.
Of course. Yep.
Um, Last time I was there, I noticed a bunch of new toys, like more hex bars. You just installed a pull-up rig, climbing ropes.
Yep.
How have those new pieces of equipment helped your clients?
You know what? They're great additions. You know me, I'm a hex bar fan. I know some people don't like them. I know they're a hybrid between a deadlift and a squat. That's why I love them. It's more functional, if you will, because now I can pick and choose how I want to use them, even if I want to make them higher or lower by spinning them. And they're safer. That's the bottom line. I've rarely, if ever, had a person get off of a hex bar and say, "Ah, it hurt my back." Almost, I don't think I've ever heard it. Maybe once with bad form, someone wasn't listening. I love barbells too. Don't get me wrong. I barbell deadlift weekly. I think it's one of the greatest things you can do. But not everyone should touch a barbell. I think that just the positioning of the hex bar, it being a little hybrid between hip and knee dominant, the way you can have the weight come through your hips, your midline, I think it's a great tool and people love them.
Yeah, I mean, just from you, I learned you need two cues: butt back, chest up, and immediately people
Done.
grab and go.
Done.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. The biggest complaint I have on hex bars, which I don't get on barbells, is one, the good thing is you can lift more weight. You can just, bottom line, even me, I can lift 500+ pounds in a hex bar. I can't do that with a barbell. So in a sense, it's good and bad. But the only complaint I get in a hex bar is their grip, which is a good problem when you think about it, because they're just showing you that they can really load up their glutes and hamstrings and quads, which I love, man.
Yeah. The other nice thing is that if you really think about dropping the hex bar a little bit behind you, touching the ground with it, it really engages your traps and your rhomboids. And like you're surprised.
When we heavy hex bar, you're 100% right, Trap. When I heavy hex bar, or my clients heavy hex bar, your traps, your lats, your whole posterior chain is smoked.
Yeah, and it's surprising because you wake up the next day and you're like, "What did I do for my back?" But that's it.
Yep.
How about the pull-up rig?
The pull-up rig I love. I mean, it's a great addition to No Bull. I mean, like I said, especially with the groups and even small sessions, you can have. I mean, I literally set up rings on one section, TRXs on one section, chin-ups for one section. I mean, it's endless. Even cook bands for assisted push-ups on one section. I mean, that in itself is all you would need, really. But what a great addition! I actually should have got it sooner. So I wish I would have bought that sooner.
Yeah, and the ropes, they can be a bit tricky as far as liability goes, I think.
Yeah, you know what? I hear a lot about it as I look at them. I know some people, some strength coaches don't do them, and I understand that. It can be a liability. You're having someone climb 12, 15 feet to your ceiling, then they have to control the descent while they're fatigued. I warn everybody. I tell everyone. Plus, we have mats underneath. Knock on wood, no one's ever fallen since we've had them. But it could happen. Just like everything, it's a danger. It's a risk.
But
anything is a risk.
Definitely the benefit of being able to control your body. That's real world stuff.
You know what? I think that's as functional as it gets. I mean, if you can climb the rope, that shows you are using your legs, every single muscle in your body. It shows you have good body awareness, good control of every joint. And it comes to a mass thing. I have some clients that are just too heavy, too big to do it. But as they get leaner, as they get healthier, that's going to happen. But I agree. If the ropes are too high, it can definitely be risky.
Yeah.
But people love it. People get off of it after a couple weeks of trying, a couple months of trying, and their face when they get off the rope is just, like, wow, I haven't done that since I was 7.
Yeah. I mean, so when I was in high school, they didn't have us do them anymore, but my parents always tell me about how they grew up and they had to do the rope in gym class. And it's it's a lost art, but definitely important.
No doubt about it.
How about power training? You don't use a lot of Olympic lifts, right?
Correct.
So what do you do to develop upper and lower body power for your clients?
I keep it simple. I mean, I bought heavy med balls and light med balls. I mean, the basics, like, good side throws on the wall, overhead slams, overhead tosses, obviously box jumps, leapfrog, stuff like that. Even sled work, I consider power if they're really running. sprint work. If the gym's not too busy, we do sprints up and down the middle. We're on the treadmill, which isn't optional, but we live in Philadelphia, so it's freezing half the year. Um, I'll clean, and I won't snatch with average clients, but I'll clean with some clients. I have sandbags or heavy bags that we clean.
Yeah,
Um,
I saw
I just
those.
don't. That's a great alternative, actually. You get a few cuts on the biceps, but nothing crazy.
How heavy are those, by the
It's
way?
I made mine 40 pounds each.
Okay, that's what I thought.
So some people, yeah, did it feel heavy to you?
It
No,
felt heavy,
light,
yeah.
right? Did it?
I was
So,
trying
some
to.
people come up with the clean, but it's not too bad.
So I did a competition in November, and we had to do these sandbag tosses. So it was kind of like a kettlebell swing, where you would
Yep.
hinge at the hips with the sandbag in between your legs, and then explode up and throw it overhead behind you. It was like a 9 foot pull-up bar that we had
They
to
do
throw
that in the
over.
strongman contest with
Yeah,
kettlebells.
yeah,
Yeah,
it was a
I got it.
strongman thing. And the sandbags that they had at the competition were 25, 30 pounds.
Okay.
And it was tough. But I tried to
Okay.
do it with yours and I couldn't.
40 pounds would be brutal.
Yeah, you could probably do it. But me at 5'6" and you at 6'5".
Right. You're a lot better looking though, Travi. Don't worry about it.
So, and
But yeah,
I noticed
good.
those 35-pound med balls that you have. Do you
Yes.
slam those or
Yes.
okay?
Believe it or not, you know what that turns into, which I love? It turns into, for mostly females or smaller men, it turns into a great sack deadlift to like almost a clean and then a press and then a slam.
Yeah,
So it's definitely not for power necessarily, but if you're trying to hit every muscle group, there you go.
I like that.
Yeah, it's great actually. I have 25-pound balls too, and you'd be surprised. Most of my girls can slam them. Yeah,
Wow.
obviously, it decreased the velocity, and gravity does a lot of it.
Yeah,
But
I mean
it's a beautiful thing.
I
Right?
think
It's one of my best buys.
the Dynamax balls go all the way down to 6. So as long as you're hitting every part of the
Yeah.
spectrum.
Yep.
So we said you have maybe 1 or 2 treadmills, but what do your clients do for conditioning then if you're mostly not putting them on the treadmill or the Airdyne or?
What I usually do is I like mixing like a mini heavy circuit, if that makes sense. So maybe a sled sprint to battle ropes, or a sled sprint to some type of thruster with dumbbells, like a squat press, just to get them jacked up, just to get them going. 'Cause, I mean, as well as I do, anything for a jog versus thrusters or sled sprints is on two different levels.
Hmm.
But it really depends on my goal. I have some rowers that are competitive rowers that need more LSD, if you will. But I still give them the hard, fast, heavy stuff, and then a little more long, slow distance. I don't love jump ropes, but it depends who it is. Jump ropes are a good way to go, depending on what you mix with them. But I like doing doubles or mixtures of 2 exercises.
Nice.
Keep it simple.
All right, this one will be for the fitness professionals out there. Continuing education is so important for us. Our mentor from National Personal Training Institute, Barry Fritz, always used to say, the real learning starts after you finish the personal training certification. Who are
Absolutely.
some of your biggest influences as far as continuing education goes? Who are your go-tos?
Obviously, Barry Fritz. When I have a problem, he was my mentor. He's the guy that got me where I am right now. Quick background: when I went to school, I didn't actually think of becoming a trainer. I went to get in shape after an injury. But the day I met Barry, I saw his passion. He made me want to work out. He made me want to do things that most people don't want to do. And then I saw the effect he had on others. So I was like, wow, I want to do that. So that's what I'm doing, thanks to him. My main go-to guy are guys like Mike Boyle, definitely, the guy, up in Boston. I spent my first 3 years as a trainer, scrounging up quarters and dollars to pay for gas and buy a Perform Better seminar ticket for $200, which at the time, it was baffling me because I didn't even have $200 in my account. But I would scrounge it up and go to the Perform Better seminars and just learn everything. Even that, I thought it was odd. I would show up, and I mean, I was like a kid on Christmas morning when I was 5, and I'd be there with my notebook and taking notes and asking questions. I didn't care. And a lot of the fitness professionals, I guess they've done these before, so they were just kind of sitting back looking at me like I'm an idiot. Even during like practical stuff, they wouldn't participate, and I was in there,
What a waste.
jumping head first. It was weird. Yeah, I thought it was odd actually. But I remember the first time I was there, I told myself I would never do that because you know as well as I do, you can't teach something very well if you don't physically do it. I'm not saying you have to be the Grand King at it, but you need to have a base for it.
You
better know
gotta
what
you
you're
gotta
doing.
be able to show at least one perfect rep, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. So the Perform Better seminars really helped, and Mike. That's where I met Mike Boyle. Guys like Martin Rooney, Greg Cook definitely influenced me a lot. I just like their systems. I like that. They're basic but effective and safe. To me, if you hurt a client, I mean that's it. Not saying it never happens. I know stupid things happen, but safety should be number one, and that is the bottom line. You know.
Absolutely. Are there any new exercises or training principles that you've picked up lately?
New exercise. I mean, I'm always dabbling with something. I mean, this is, I'm here 7 days a week. I love what I do. Every time class is over, I'll go mess with something or something I've seen. I'll try to make something better. I'll try to make something for the general population opposed to maybe a real athletic client. I'm always tweaking my programs to some extent, but I mean, I find myself always going back to basics. I mean, you know how the pendulum swings. It went too far to like Greg Cook for a couple of years and
Mhm.
too much. You have to bird dog and don't let your hip laterally rotate when you squat.
Sure.
To then it went too hardcore, like you better pick up that 500-pound deadlift or you're a sissy. And now I think it's back to if this person needs this or if this person needs this, stay in the zone, stay in the middle somewhere, stay level headed.
And
But basics work. I mean, if I showed you pages of my program, you probably wouldn't be impressed. But some of the simplest things are the most brutal. I like deadlifts, I like front squats, I like sled pushes, I like bench press, I like chin ups. Not much else, to be honest. I had a debate with a strength coach recently. I said, hypothetically speaking, if you could only pick one or two things to do for the rest of your life, we were debating on, I think I would do chin ups. He said squats. Someone said overhead press. I mean, right there, those three, you wouldn't need anything else, but it would depend on what your function is.
mhm,
But the basics work. I think everyone should just get really, really good at basics. And then from there, branch out.
absolutely. Is there anything that you've changed your mind about over the last year, and how has it impacted
That's
your training and your clients' training?
the research is always changing. We're up, at the top of it. We're always reading it. Everything changes, to be honest. Even this podcast, is that what they're called? What we're doing now, we're going to look back on this in a year, and I'm probably going to disagree with myself and you, maybe.
Sure. Sign of maturity there,
But
right?
absolutely, of course, yeah, yeah. You can't be too stubborn to change, which most of us are. You know what? Honestly, the spine flexion. I remember when I first read McGill's book. I thought, man, if you do a crunch, you're going to die. Your head's going to explode. And now I notice that, some crunching is warranted. I train jujitsu guys. I am a jujitsu guy. I was for a while. You better have had a strong flexion ability to do certain moves and get up off the ground. Obviously, having said that, most of the jujitsu guys I know have lower back pain. I don't know if it's a direct correlation to a lot of flexion, but it probably is. I'm not going to tell people to do 1,000 crunches a week because we know that's not going to work. But some crunching is warranted. You can't just, we demonize everything now.
Yeah.
You see a video and right away people are haters. Then they might think, well, maybe, and then they accept it. That's almost always the three tiers of it.
I remember talking to Barry one time about the whole spinal flexion thing, and he goes, "Well, you wouldn't do 100 deadlifts every single day, so why would you do 100 crunches every day? But if you did
Absolutely.
3 sets of 15 once a week, what's wrong with that?"
Absolutely. There's nothing wrong with that.
Mm-hmm.
You're correct. But about that, so now we added in a little more. I try to do safer versions like toe touch and the McGill sit up, the McGill crunch. But as well as I do, the real core stuff are the deadlifts, the front squats, the chin ups. When I do 8-second and have my clients do 8-second eccentric chin ups, drops, and then I have to push them up and they jump up, 8-second drop. The next 2 days, your abs are smoked from preventing that elongation, that hyperextension.
Right.
That's the true function of rectus abdominis anyways, is preventing hyperextension, as you well know.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of where I'm more into it. But saying that, I definitely added more flexion to my program. And I don't mean during deadlifts and stuff, but I do a little bit more crunching variations, definitely. and different things. Like I used to think laterals were super dangerous because they hurt me. So I was so
Right.
narrow-minded to think, well, if laterals hurt me, they must hurt everyone. Yeah. And then I read up some more and I started playing with different movements, even changing where my scapula was. The
Yeah.
retraction, open that exactly, scaption raises that Barry showed me. Definitely made it safer. So even me, I used to demonize certain exercises, but now I'm seeing that there's ways to do them properly. And just because it hurts one person doesn't mean it's going to hurt someone else.
Right.
But again, it could be high risk, so
There
I'm weary of certain things.
there are no bad exercises, only bad exercises for certain people.
It's true. It is true.
All right. How about let's talk about mindset a little bit. You're a really positive guy, and especially around this time of year, people get really gung ho with New Year's resolutions,
Yeah.
and then the feeling
Yeah.
fades after a little while. How important is having the right mindset when it comes to training, especially in the long term?
You know what? You know what I do and how I do it. It's number one in my book. Even I think it's more important than even a good program. And kind of hear me out here. You got to make people want to come every week. Like what I do is I need recurring business to do what I do. So if I kick someone's ass or hurt someone or torture them so bad that they couldn't sit down for 4 days, unfortunately, some people like that, but that's not good. Excessive soreness means you did too much, period. Not good or bad. It could be bad. But you have to make the people want to come back. So, I mean, what I try to inject into them is not just, hey, here's how to squat, here's how to deadlift. I try to make their mindset think, okay, well, because of training, because I'm getting stronger, because I'm getting leaner, because that endorphin rush has taken my brain over, because my confidence is going up, I'm going to be better at my job. I'm going to be a better father. I'm going to treat my dog better. I'm going to run hills with my dog instead of him sitting on the couch all day. I think that good training makes people better in all aspects of their life. And I prove it to them and myself daily. When people come in and tell me, like, hey, Carl, I signed up for a Spartan race, I would have never thought of doing that a year ago. Or, the dog example, I hear my clients all the time. When they lose weight, their dogs lose weight because they're out walking them more and the dog is healthier. But it's a happier life. It's a happier household. So, I mean, training, there's way more to training than the physical part. I tell clients all the time, you want to lose this amount of weight, this body fat, absolutely very important. We have to do that. But what you're going to get on top of that, the mental release, the stress release, how to deal with problems better is way more important in my book.
Yeah, I really think focusing on the number on the scale can be detrimental, and instead it's better to
Absolutely.
set performance goals, not even necessarily in the gym. Like, yeah, you can say, okay, I want to deadlift 135 pounds, or you could say, I want to be able to walk my dog for 30 minutes without being winded. And once you can do that, it's like, wow, look at this change that I've made in my life.
I can actually see. I mean, my background a little bit. I was, I lived in the clubs for about 8 years being a bouncer. So that mentality actually helped me because I used to read people. I mean, I would read their eyes, their posture, every little detail that an average person doesn't see, I see. So when new clients come in, you can see that they're nervous. I get it. They're coming to a place called Noble Training and a big ugly guy saying, hi, how are you? I get it. They're nervous, but you can see their lack of confidence and their lack of, shoulders down, head down, like they're not certain of themselves. A week or two in, man, that starts to change. They're more confident. Their shoulders are up, their head's back. One, because I'm making their posture better, but it's their mind. It's not their body. It's both. I even have people a month or two in, because most of my clients have general gym memberships on top of me, the $10 a month places, and they tell me they'll never go near the dumbbells until they started training here. Because I make every female, every male 100% confident to walk up to a dumbbell rack, grab some dumbbells, sit down, press them, sit up, and look around. So it's the confidence, which is way more vital.
I think that's so important, is empowering people. Like, okay,
yes,
they're coming to you a few times a week, but then at the $10 a month places, if they learn those skills and they're not afraid to pick up the dumbbells with that jacked guy who's on steroids over there,
absolutely,
being intimidating, but not be intimidated and have the confidence to do it on their own.
Absolutely. Because you think about it, I see it all day. I personally go to a gym, a $10 a month gym. I do it mostly for me and my fiance because we're here so often that the last thing I feel like doing right now is working out. Plus, they have a babysitting place for the kids, for my babies. So, we walk in and all the girls, unfortunately, are on the treadmills and ellipticals, and all the big meatheads are at the dumbbell rack. And, I love it. Even days I don't go, my fiance walks up, sets up a barbell, starts doing thrusters and barbell glute bridging and back squatting. And that's how my girls are starting to get, and I love it. Even my guys, it's not just a male-female thing, it's both.
Mm-hmm. As far as the people coming in for the first time to your gym and having, like, being a little bit intimidated, what would you want people to know about no-bull training that it's really not so scary?
I forget who told me this. Could be a Boyle, could be Barry Fritz. I got to be honest, I don't know. I remember the first thing they said. I wish I remember who told me. The first thing they told me was train every woman like it's your mother or your sister, and train every male like it's your father or your brother. And that really stuck with me. I remember thinking about that one day, and I remember thinking, okay, realistically, if my mother was here, would I do that with her? Or would I do this with her? Would I put her in a dangerous position? Would I increase risk for not a great reward? And it really helped me. Even the way you treat the client, because it's more than just the program. They want to come and talk and let out their stress, their day, and you do the same with them. So they got to trust you. It's number one is trust. So when they realize I'm in their face, eyeballs on them, shake their hand, walk them through everything, they start to trust me, and they know I'm not BSing them. There's no lying. You're going to get what you get here. Once they trust you, it comes pretty quick because they quickly see how many people are here, first off, and how many people love it, how many people are doing so well. Results don't lie. If the people come and they do well, they tell their friends. So that's a great thing. So it's almost always referral, but people are always afraid. I had a girl just now just sign up after class. She's like, I should have came 2 years ago when I heard about you. I was like, yeah, you should have. She's like, I was scared. She's like, I saw your picture. I saw no bull training. And then she would see a few fit clients, and she thought, well, I can't do what they do. So when she finally came in, I gave her a movement assessment, a little workout. She realized, like, oh, I'm going to get what I need. And that's it. A good trainer gives you what you need and then what you want, So that's more important.
Absolutely. Speaking of the referral thing, no-bull training wasn't always the thriving business that it is today. What advice would you give to trainers and new business owners who are just starting out?
I could go on for an hour, but quickly, the training is about the client. It's not about you. It's not about what I snatch or what I front squat. Although, like we talked about, you have to be able to do it. But the training is about the client. You have to fully remember their name, the simple basics, and train them for what they need and then what they want, not what you want them to be. Because that's important. You go to a CrossFit gym, the coach, if it's a bad CrossFit gym, might think, well, you need CrossFit, this is all you're getting, you need the Olympic lift. Or a power lift, a bodybuilding gym might think, well, you just need hypertrophy on your pecs, even though you want to lose 50 pounds. You have to make it functional for that person. So it has to be individualized to an extent, and it has to be personal. That's, like I said, that's the most important thing is it's about the client. And really, it's a tough gig. When you're training, you have to be on at all times. That's why I think I'm somewhat successful, is I'm always on. Whether I'm in a good mood or a bad mood, which is 90% good, I'm always on. I'm always hyper. I'm always excited. I love life. I fully grasp that I'm not here long, so I want to enjoy it while I'm here. That's why I do what I do. So I want to inject that into other people. That's so important to find what you love and do it. And if I can give, other people that positivity and that good feeling, that's what I want to give,
I think you do it well.
Try.
Yeah, and especially what you said about you have to be on. Maybe you've been in the gym for 8 hours already, but every single person who's in there, it's their first hour. So
absolutely. And it does get tough. A Tuesday night, you start at 3 p.m. we start, and my last client comes at 8. I'm smoked mentally and physically by 8. I'm sore, I'm hoarse, my voice, I'm hungry, I'm getting low blood sugar, I'm a little moody. I either come in here and, pop something to eat real quick or a little coffee, and boom, you have to be back on. Because you're right, that client doesn't deserve less of you because it's 4 hours later.
Right.
That's your problem. You got to suck it up. So training's definitely a tough gig. if you're looking to be a millionaire and not work hard, don't be a personal trainer. Don't be a strength coach. But if you want to, be on your feet, help others, train in the gym, you get to wear shorts and t-shirts all day. This is definitely it.
That's a good perk. All right,
Yes.
my last batch of questions will be rapid fire. I'm just gonna ask you a one or the other, and you tell me. Try not to say both, but if you have to.
All right.
High reps or low reps?
Low reps, high intensity.
Kipping pull-ups or strict pull-ups?
I hate kipping pull-ups. Strict.
Jogging or sprinting?
Sprinting.
Flexibility or mobility?
That's a tough one. They're both important, but I guess I want the joints to move better, so mobility.
Linear, concurrent, or undulating periodization?
That's tough. For my world, it's so off the wall, so that's hard to choose right there. I get clients that might be on vacation for 3 weeks, and then they're starting over pretty much. So I don't have the micro, meso, and macro cycles like I would need with a pro athlete.
Yeah.
That would vary, so I can't answer that properly.
Yeah. I say it's got to be concurrent for the general population just because life provides its own periodization. So you can't, like you said, you can't plan out your heavy month, your lighter weight, higher rep month because kid gets sick, you miss your training, you go on vacation.
Happens all the time.
So you mix it all up in the course of the day or the week. All right, minimalist or cushiony shoes?
I reluctantly admit I used to wear the minimalist shoes. I bought into the hype. Although I got to be honest, I think being barefoot is great. But when you're jumping, running, stuff like that, cushiony. Buy some Asics.
Mm-hmm. Eat the yolk or no yolk?
12 eggs a day, 100, and my cholesterol's 150. Eat the yolk.
All right. Last one. If you could train one person, past or present, who would it be?
I've seen this question. I got to be honest. I don't know. Initially, it didn't come as like an Arnold Schwarzenegger. I didn't even think of anyone that would train. I thought of people I would just want to talk to.
Sure.
Like personally, I would want to talk to like Albert Einstein or Charles Darwin or someone not in the training realm at all.
Did they even lift?
Brown, maybe like if an athlete. If I had to pick an athlete, Jim Brown or someone like Jim Thorpe. I don't know.
Yeah. Cool. Anything else you want to add?
No, I don't know. I appreciate you having me on, Trav. It was fun. It was a good time.
Thank you. We'll have to do it again soon.
Absolutely.